Hello everyone! Okay, let's just talk first. Is this cute? Is this goofy? Little from column A, little from column B. I got this from Ulta. I really like it actually. It keeps my hair off my face while I'm doing my makeup, and I also have a bunny ears one. The point of today's video is to do a full face, or as much of a face as I can do in terms of the products that I have, with Makeup Revolution. So here in the US, this is available at Ulta. Do you remember around the time when Makeup Revolution first became available here in the States in Ulta, and I did a video like trying tons and tons of different palettes, some of the first ones that they like came into Ulta launching at that time. And since that time, they have come out with a lot of different things. So I have been inundated with requests to talk about some of their different palettes and other products too. They are known for doing some palettes that are sort of dupe type palettes, also just a lot of original palettes to the line as well. But I've gotten some fantastic palettes that are from less than $10 to like $15. There's just some extraordinary and surprising quality in this line. In this video, I've got a real powerhouse eyeshadow palette that's like $7, and I really like that. But a lot of things that I did discuss the first time around when I did a big devoted Makeup Revolution palette video, a lot of those things are still on the market, so I will link to that video below if you want a roundup on some of those things, but this will sort of be the newer edition. So what I'm going to start out with is just a little light coverage on the skin, because I am going to demo their concealer here, and I don't want too much coverage underneath helping out these under eye circles, but I must say I'm loving this Garnier Skin Active BB. This is the light to medium oily combo skin formula. Wouldn't normally think I'm oily to combo, but this wears like so well. I get about that much going on here, and I dab this all over. You could blend this in with your fingers, but I really like using a brush. You know, it's just a really precise thing, as you can see. This is my little airbrush complexion brush from Eco Tools, and I will just buff this in. It's by no means a full coverage product on the skin, but it covers really nicely and looks really fresh as far as BB creams are concerned. For a long time, that Rimmel BB cream had been a big favorite of mine, but this is kind of maybe edging that out even a little bit. I just really love the look on the skin, and it's worn so well on me too, and I think maybe part of that is that combo oily thing coming in and not getting me too greasy as the day goes on. I would say the skin does look matte, but it's not like unnaturally so. Like I can still see some natural kind of skin-like sheen, I suppose, coming off of there, but I just really like that product. Now I'm going to be using the Conceal and Define Full Coverage Conceal and Contour, and I have this in the shade C5, and I do think this is definitely my best shade, because I started out with this line using C4, and I found that to be just a little too light. Going in, I would have thought that would be my perfect shade, but I just wasn't getting the best coverage out of it, and then I just bumped it down a little bit, got a shade that was a little better skin tone match for me, and the coverage, it made a surprising amount of difference. So I did talk about this in my 5 like new drugstore products worth trying video. In that video, in the demo, I blended this out with a beauty blender. So in this video, I think I'm going to use a brush. Either method does work really nicely, but you don't need to over apply this product. And in terms of a comparison to Tarte Shape Tape, I don't feel like it's the exact same thing as Tarte Shape Tape, as I said in that last video, using my Sigma P80 brush here. Tarte Shape Tape is a very potent concealer, and for this to give me the same effect as Shape Tape, I have to apply just a little bit more, just like the amount I did there. With Shape Tape, I might just do 2 tiny dots, you know? But this concealer is just a little more lightweight in consistency, and that may be a good thing for some people who couldn't make Shape Tape work, but they do wear very similarly, and they have a very similar like texture on the skin once they sort of set. They're not super tacky products. It's a really nice matte coverage there on the skin, as you can see. So I just take this brush and sort of spread it about where I want it, get it all the way up there to the lower lash line. I'll even take some of that product and draw it down to cover the redness on the sides of my nose. But definitely that innermost cavern is what I'm looking to conceal. And I end up coming away super duper satisfied with this coverage that I'm getting. Another option, if you feel like you have the darkest of the dark under eye circles and you want to amp this up even more, you might layer a peachy tone corrector underneath and really target the bluish tone circles that you have. but as you can see, I did have some, and I feel like this really did a great job with them. Now I want to have a little chit chat about loose powders for baking. I have a couple from Makeup Revolution here. I have the Luxury Baking Powder in Ghost, so this is just a white powder. If you've tried the RCMA powder, this is almost exactly like that. And then I also have the shade Lace. I've heard people refer to this as a banana powder, but it really isn't that yellow. And I'm going to show you something actually. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Makeup Revolution's giving their take on the Ben Nye luxury powders. This is what banana looks like. This is the thing that years back, like Kim Kardashian's makeup artist was using this on her, and that really put this product on the map. And Lace is not as yellow as that. Lace seems to be a direct like dupe of the Ben Nye powder in Buff. So a little bit more along the lines of a match to a beigey skin tone, it would appear. However, when I bake with this on my under eye area, for my skin tone, I feel like it ends up being just a hint too dark. And I don't always notice that right after I apply it. Sometimes I notice it after a couple of hours. And I feel like this whole area just ends up being a little darker than I want it. Might be perfect for a little deeper skin tone than me. But as far as Makeup Revolution's line goes, the Ghost powder is kind of like my ideal thing to use. So I shake up the little container here, and I actually will use the little cap and just tap a little product in there, and then use a beauty blender, any sponge that's been slightly dampened, and you can just bake your concealer. Not that this is an absolute necessity step for this concealer, because I mean, I was pleased with the coverage, I was pleased with the matte-ness, but this tends to just make me look extra flawless and just silky smooth, awesome staying power. Baking is not maybe something everyone wants to do, but if you want to experiment, try different things, you know, go for it. I'll also sometimes bake right down the nose and this little area kind of up in between the brows. I feel like it sort of smooths and brightens that. And then I'll sometimes bring it right down here along the jawline also, and it sort of, I don't know, maintains a little brightness in that zone, especially in contrast with any contour that I'll do there. And I do feel like this is an effective baking powder. It's never made the look of my concealer look any deeper or anything, but baking your conceal and define concealer is not an absolute must-do step. I'm just kind of trying to show you as much as I can from the line. A lot of times I'll be content to just use a little light setting powder, maybe just use the Ghost powder with a very soft brush, dust over it, get that texture completely like silky smooth, and just call it a day. But while we're baking, while we're looking a little funny here, clearly I don't have any issues with looking funny, we're going to do brows. And a product I love from Makeup Revolution for brows is the brow pomade. I think this works really, really well for me. I love the texture of this because it's not too creamy, okay? So there's an element of dryness in this that makes it very easy to control. If you've ever used anything in your brows that was a little too goopy, a little too creamy, maybe you found that it's hard to get only the bare minimum in your brows. So this works great. I wear it in medium brown, comes with the little angled brush. Another neat thing about this product is the fact that it doubles as color and hold. It's a lot like a product from Too Faced, a pomade Too Faced had out quite a while back. I'm completely blanking on the name, but I think it was called like Bulletproof Brows. Very, very similar texture to that. Okay, now that brows are complete, I'm just going to take this small tapered brush and I'm going to begin to dust away the powder that was used to set that under eye here. Very matte, very, very even skin, so that's the end result from that step. Now I've got a couple different contouring products I want to mention here. This is a newer thing that I got. It's called Bronze and Glow. It's got that cute little chocolate bar design here, and given the tone of the powder, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. It's a very, very light contour shade, and then this pretty sort of soft pearlescent highlight. So I do like this product, but the contour shade that I definitely like best comes from their Ultra Contour palette. I just love this palette. This is a fantastic tool for contouring. The powder textures are so, so soft, and these shades right here, if you need any sort of a matte powder to add a little brightness, this is great. And then this contour shade for me is just so on point. So I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Studio Complexion brush, dab into that contour, and just give myself a little something right over here. I've mentioned this before, but I'm trying to keep from taking the contour too low on my face, as I think it can kind of drag you down a bit. So I'm just keeping it just a little higher than I might have normally gone in the past. But I love this shade. It's the perfect combination of a little bit of coolness, but also it's not just too super gray. I don't have to hold my own hair back here because I've got this lovely headband. And I will take a little bit of this down the neck as well. Such a great shade. Now for blush, here's what's up. We're going to be talking about one of their newer palettes. This is the Pro HD Amplified palette, and this is called Get Baked, and it says 15 highlighters, although to me, this really seems like a combo blush and highlighter palette. I see shades here that are clearly blushes, and there's varying intensities of highlighters. So we've got some that are really, really soft, like this one called O. Pearl is pretty pronounced. I love this color called Sweet. It sort of reminds me of the effect you get from a Becca Opal highlight. The other day I wore this as a blush and I thought, oh my gosh, is it going to be crazy? But then I remember reading this thing on Twitter that said if you go for more like plummy berry blushes, that's more like the tone that your skin naturally produces when you look flushed, and I never really realized that. This is the kind of thing where I feel like, yes, I like what's in here. I don't know that I'm needing this massive of a selection, you know what I'm saying? But there are some good points in here. I'm going to use Lit. This is this sort of pinky, glowy blush, I'd call it. And I'm hitting the sort of outer part of the apple of my cheek with that, taking it up a bit. Just like my contour, I'm not trying to drop the blush too low. But it's interesting how some of these shades that you might use as a blush are not out of control shimmery. I just kind of build it up little by little and buff it in, kind of circular motion style. I don't know about you, but I think that's fresh as a daisy. And then I think I will use Pearl as my highlight. Some of these shades a little bit on the flaky side, but they do apply with much intensity, much intensity. Lay it on, and then as with any highlight that I feel like is kind of pronounced, buff it in. Really take a little extra time to just buff it in, and then it stops looking like just a glowy streak that's sitting on top of your skin. Put a little on the Cupid's bow, do a little on the nose. What this sort of feels like to me is like a blown up version of their blush palette like this, which is called the Blush Palette Queen. And it has a bunch of, you know, blushes with a sheen, several that could definitely be used as highlights. So if this seems like a bit much in terms of selection, or you're just not looking for that amount of product, you might look to this. Also, funny enough, the shade called Pearl that I use, that super glowy highlight is right here at the end of the contour palette that I just used. Next, I'm going to go to a setting mist or a primer mist that I love. It's called the Pro Base Aqua Priming Base. I have really liked this. If you're one who has also enjoyed the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Primer Mist, this gives me very much the same effect as that, and so I just do a few mists. I feel like that really just takes the surface of the skin and on contact makes you look a little more dewy, and I really like that. So now I've put on a little bit of eyeshadow primer, and the palettes I was talking about, these $7 palettes that are so nice. I got 2 of them off of Ulta's website. There are even more options. There's one that definitely has the same kind of color scheme as Anastasia Subculture. That one and another were out of stock, but I did get this one that kind of reminds me of Modern Renaissance. This is called Reloaded Iconic Vitality. And then I got this one that is very pinky rosy. This is called Reloaded Iconic Neutrals NEWTRALS 2. This has a lot of warm brown, rosy shades, obviously, some kind of peachy, orangey colors in there as well. The issue I find I come to with this palette is just not enough depth, not enough rich, dark shades that can really provide a lot of contrast with the eyes. I mean, it's a wonderful library of rosy colors if that's what you like, and then you could plug in other shades that you have. But this one seems to be a bit more well-rounded in terms of creating a full look. Plus, I do have some of that rosy brightness as well. But I mean, the matte formula here is knocking my socks off. These shadows apply so smoothly, evenly, rich, easy to control, and the shimmers are no slouch either. I mean, those are great, but I just think the biggest surprise to me with these palettes came with the quality of the mattes. So I think what I'm going to start with is this shade right here in the center, and I'm just going to build up a little crease color here so you can see. Just a little product on the brush, you know, I tapped off the excess, and I've got plenty to get that nice soft crease color. Sorry about any glare bouncing off the tip of my nose right now. I really hit that with some highlighter earlier, and it's glowing. Like I almost have to come away from looking at it like I just looked at the sun or something. Okay, so that's a beautiful soft way to get things going in the crease. Now I want to deepen that up a little bit. I'm going to go to the red that's right down here. Real nice berry red. Get a little bit of that on my brush. I'm just going to start blending that into my outer corner. Ever try like a dupe palette of something and then your love for that type of palette just kind of gets reinvigorated? Like, I think I may have forgotten how much I loved the Modern Renaissance color scheme for a little while here. And then I try this palette and I'm like, oh yes, these colors look so nice together. But this was $7, so I love that. Just taking a bare fluffy brush and blending around the outside of what I just did there. And then I think I'll go ahead and apply this shade right here as a highlight. Next up, I want to bring in even more richness. I'm going to go to this sort of cranberry brown mix color here. It's very interesting. It's like the perfect red and neutral fusion. And I'm going to start patting this on the outer part of my eyelid. How pretty is that tone? I mean, I'm all about that. And then to kind of amp up that lid, let's pop on some of this goldeny shimmer. This is largely a matte palette here, by the way. So if you are a matte shadow lover, I mean, the only real shimmers, we've got this sort of pinky pearly shimmer, this golden shimmer, and this brownish color right up here has some sheen to it. Other than that, you've got a fabulous mix of these beautifully textured mattes. Sometimes with Makeup Revolution shimmers, I feel like I want to press the brush down. I've mentioned this technique with other brands as well. Press the brush down on the skin and give a slight tug. And that's when you get the best like color pack-on payoff. The best intensity, let's call it. It's the old press and drag, babies. Okay, looking good. I love that. I love that soft gold, and I like how it's not so brassy. It's just like the softest hint of gold in that shade, and the way that fades into the rusty red is just fantastic. If you love mattes, if you love this kind of color scheme, and you love bargains, you want to get you some of this. On my lower lash line, I'm going to take this shade that has a little bit of shimmer, but it's more brownish. And I think I'll just lightly smudge it. Just a gentle smudge down in here. You know, anytime something starts happening on the lower lash line, the mouth has to go like this. Just a mandatory thing. I can't explain it. Unwritten rule of makeup. I'm not really trying to make a statement here on the lower lash line. I just sort of want to define it in the softest way. And then what if we took this pearly shimmer and just bopped that right here? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now here are a few things I don't have from Makeup Revolution. Eyeliner, mascara, and lashes. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Milani Stay Put Matte, my Neutrogena Hydro Boost Plumping Mascara. Going to pop those on. Find some lashes as well. Oh, I'm also going to use my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlight. Let me just show you that. See what this does for the eye right here? Va va voom. But I'll do those other steps and then we will talk lips. Okay guys, I'm back. I've got my beautiful red cherry number 43 type lash there, and I had a thought. I thought maybe it might be fun to do a little bit more of a smoked out but with a soft color on the lower lash line. Like now that I'm seeing the whole look come together, I'm wondering if maybe like a little bit of these two shades here in the palette. And I'm taking this Real Techniques, this is called the Insta Pop Crease Brush, but it's got this perfect little wedge shape angle to it, and it's great for smoky lower liner. And yeah, I am liking the way that looks down there. It's nice and soft on the smudgy side. And now that I've done that, just a little more mascara there. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier that I just wanted to give a shout out to, these are the highlighter, liquid highlighter drops, the champagne color. I love this. I have mentioned this numerous times on my channel already, so I didn't really feel the need to show a demo of it today since I was talking all about that larger palette. But these I love. This specific shade, I mean, I know there are other shades, but this one is just so glowing and beautiful on the skin. But in terms of lips, thinking about what I've tried from Makeup Revolution, not a huge fan of the matte liquid lipsticks that they've put out. I found those to be very, very drying. They have cream lipsticks that are called Renaissance lipstick, and they are in like a rose gold tube, and I think those are wonderful. I've tried some great shades there, and most recently, I've tried their Life on the Dance Floor lipsticks. I think they have some different families of these, and I bought all of the gold ones, and I love them all. It's just a great little wardrobe of nude lips here. And the packaging is so lovely. In fact, my very most favorite, Eve, when she was up here the other day, she grabbed it and she gouged it up. But these are so soft and creamy. This color is called Exclusive. Then we have Elite, which is a little lighter and more pinky. And then kind of a classic sort of peachy nude here. This shade is called Invite Only. But yeah, these are super affordable. Such lovely lipsticks. And if you're into nudes, I mean, get them. I think what I'm going to do with this look, I'm going to take Invite Only. That was that last one that I swatched. I'm going to get a little bit of that going right here in the center of the lower lip. My lips have been really dry, by the way. I've had a cold lately. And then I'm going to take Exclusive, which is the deepest. It's like the dustiest of dusty roses. I'm going to take that here. It's so creamy. I feel like it's the same sort of smell as those Renaissance lipsticks too. I'm just gonna kind of mush that lighter shade into the mix here. Oh, I'm in love with that look and that shade. Yes. Do I even want to take this off at this point? Do I just want to wear this for the entire day? Well, I will take it off. The look's not official till the hair comes out of whatever clip or headband I got it back in, but I am loving this look. I am so impressed by the coverage, which you guys saw I used a BB cream at the start of this, so my main coverage, my main evenness coming through there is that concealer, and it's so smooth, and the staying power is really wonderful. Just looking at some other things in my basket here, I mean, those lipsticks were phenomenal. Love those. Liquid highlight I mentioned. If you want a really easy to manage brow pomade, I think they're definitely doing that stuff right. $7 eyeshadow palettes, as I said, just wonderful quality. If you're a major matte lover and you like the kind of color scheme that's coming from modern Renaissance, I think you will absolutely love this because it's mostly matte. And as you can see with this look, I got this kind of coppery red gold thing going on with the soft browns and the more rusty reds, but they do have the pinky kind of berry tones that can take it in a completely different direction. So I love that palette. This one, I mean, not quite so versatile in terms of the depth of looks, like you'll want to pull in a super dark brown or a plum or a black to kind of balance this guy out. As far as contouring stuff goes, if you're very fair skinned, you might enjoy this little guy. It's a super soft, easy to work with contour shade here, but I'm so deeply in love with the Ultra Contour palette, which has been around for quite a while, and I continue to enjoy the heck out of that. This palette here, it's a question of amount and whether this is too much for you. I do love what's going on in here. It's just a lot of it. And like I said earlier, there are other ways to get a little more bite-sized amount of things here, but that blush I think is gorgeous, and this highlight, which also appears in this palette, the Ultra Contour palette. I mean, I'm loving that. And usually, like, highlights don't even show up that well in this full-on lighting that I sit here in. Go into a slightly dim room and then look at your highlight and you'll see how much it, like, glows off your skin. But for this to even be showing up here and now, I think it's great. Here's another thing I'm going to throw out to you, though, beyond what I've shown in this video. They have all those palettes that kind of look like chocolate bars. Quite some time ago, my friend Erica gifted me one of those kinds of palettes, and now they're all pretty much readily available on Ulta's site. But I really think there are some hidden gems within that kind of range of products, and I started to think before doing this video, like, that could be a whole other thing in itself, like rating and ranking all of those different Makeup Revolution chocolate bar things. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments section. But thank you guys so much for your time today. Thank you for watching and requesting this video. It was my pleasure to do it. I had so much fun, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.